We just finished the biggest day of the year, Friends Day 2025 at Woodlawn. Kendra, you kind of ran point on that. How'd you feel about it?
Amazing. I feel like every year we do our little hits and misses, and there was a few things we needed to adjust from last year, and we did, and I feel like for the most part it went really smoothly, and we had an incredible kids service over at the Kids Center, and it was just an awesome day. It's always our favorite day of the year.
And the weather. Can we talk about the weather?
Perfect.
The most perfect.
The coolest. It's usually 80 plus for Friends Day, but this year we got it right.
Breeze.
And what's amazing is, we had that scheduled for the last Sunday of October. We decided last year to move it to try to help us with the weather. And then the last Sunday of October was a deluge. Like it rained all day. So it was a good move, not only for cooler weather, but not to be in the rain. So we give God all the praise for that. That was, God shined on us.
He did.
Literally for that. Thank you for joining us at Woodlawn Talks today. This is a little bit different setting. This is a part of the Woodlawn team, and specifically the team that had their hands in the formation of Friends Day. And so we just wanted to talk today about that event, and we hope that you gain something from our perspective today. And as always, make it your best day yet. So let's just open up. Like, what the importance of Friends Day? Like, why do we do what we do? Obviously, that's a huge expense for the church, but it is what we feel is a necessary expense. There's a few things that are a few days of the year that we just kind of want to give back to the church and give back to the community, and Friends Day is one of those. What does Friends Day mean to you?
I think the obvious answer is that it is promoting our church's vision of restoring community by building Christ-centered families. So everything that happens that day, it's about community, from the opening all the way to the conclusion down to the ball fields, but also we're talking about family. There's stuff for kids. Everything is centered around the vision of our church. So I think if you selected any event, any special day that we have here, there's not one that better fits our vision than Friends Day.
Yeah.
And we always talk about you belong here. We say it all the time. And so it gives us an opportunity to reiterate that, hey, your friends who have, if they've never been to church, this is a day, an easy excuse, if you will, an invite for them to say, hey, you get to tell your friend, hey, you belong here. We're going to have an awesome service. We're going to have lunch and games and all sorts of fun. So it's just a day where we kind of recenter about the fact of, hey, this is a church for everybody so that they can encounter Jesus.
Yeah. I think it's an easy day. You mentioned it, Logan, but it's an easy invite. Like, you have to give, the people of your congregation opportunities to win.
Yeah.
And I think Woodlawn gives our members an easy way to win, with their family, their friends. If someone doesn't enjoy Friends Day, it's on them, because we're going to do everything we can, to put it out there, an engaging worship service. The worship music, always incredible. Hopefully the message is pretty decent. But it's one of those days. Like, I as a pastor, I'm going to try to appeal to the crowd. Like, I'm not preaching to the church. I'm preaching to everybody in the building as much as I can. But then, what happens after church? I mean, it's just fun. Like, you get to enjoy a meal together. Kids have stuff to do. The adults have something to do. Easy to fellowship.
B17.
Yeah, bingo.
They get locked in. There was a lot of folks that were locked in for bingo. There was a few hollering that occurred, but it was good always.
Yeah. Tell us about Kids Church. Like, what did that look like?
Kids Church was so awesome. I always love this because it's a day where not only we have so many teachers in our congregation, and so we had so many students come in who said that their teacher or somebody from their school invited them. Of course, the kiddos will invite their friends and, have them come. But it's just such a cool day for us to connect, and just not only with the kids, but with the families when they come in, and making sure, of course, we make sure that we have, a lot of different opportunities for them to meet new friends. And, we have donuts and games and a craft. And then at the end, the most important thing is we have a captive audience to talk to them about our most important and amazing friend Jesus and teach them about Jesus. And it's just so cool. There's nothing like it. There really is nothing like it.
I think there's parents that love you for that day, and then the foam pit, they don't like you because their kid has to go home like soaked, and it is a hit.
It's
the
a
kids,
hit.
the
Listen,
kids love
if
it.
nobody had fun, my 3-year-old had a blast yesterday. Face painted like a tiger, been in the foam pit.
And he runs in the foam pit and disappears for about 10 seconds, and then he's out on the other side.
Yeah,
fun
I
day.
think even yesterday showed us, Ken, that like the kids center is a necessity.
Oh yeah. We had to use the entire student center. I mean, every inch of it yesterday.
From
just to have-
nursery all the way up to fifth
Oh, yeah.
grade, over 150 kids yesterday in service, 40 in the 3 to 5 class. Lord, we need to pray for those teachers today. They need a day off
Yes.
after having that many
They're amazing.
kids. Good. Well, you mentioned it, Cliff, about the vision of our church.
Yeah.
We exist to restore community by building Christ-centered families. And I want to talk about quickly, like, what does a day like that mean for the community of Woodlawn, like our church family? And then we'll talk about what that means to invest in and invite the community at large. But that's a big day for our church too, because it's a day that, you're thankful for your church, you're proud of your church, and it is a day that we literally put the vision of our church on a billboard and say, this is what we're about. Yeah. What does that look like in incorporating the vision of restoring community within the body? What's that look like for you?
I think one of the really cool aspects is how many hands it takes for a day like yesterday to happen.
That's so good.
And from greeting to golf carts to collecting, food so that we can distribute it for our free meal, to cleaning up, all the different things. Like, there is something for everybody to be a part of. And I think that's really key for us, because the church is not just for one person.
Yeah.
And anyone who wanted to be a part had the ability to be a part. And so it helps our church to realize, hey, you are valued here more than just you being here. But you can help our church be better, and you can help improve our community by you serving here at Woodlawn. And I think that's really important and really cool for us to see on that day, where all these different people come together. And there's some people that maybe they aren't regularly serving, but they know on Friends Day they're going to jump in and help, because it's such a drastically large event.
So many things, even leading up to Friends Day, special work days and the planning and passing out pans to cook. And when you said it, everybody has an opportunity to be a part of Friends Day and to know my investment mattered.
Yeah.
Like, I'd run out of food if I hadn't, cooked what I cooked.
And it applies to all ages, because I told Pastor Logan, we had so many students sign up to help this year. And I thought that was so cool, because they feel it. They're excited to be a part. They're excited to serve, and just be a part of this amazing day. And I think that's so cool.
Not only leading up to it, but the day of, the event itself. And then, hey, we know so many people stayed late to help us clean up everything.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
And it felt like the smoothest cleanup we've ever had.
It was so fast.
Because of the people.
Yeah.
I think the thing that it also does for our church is it puts in front of them the idea again that it's really about others. Sometimes I think we're all guilty, and certainly as a church, we're guilty of becoming just used to routine and hey, we come to church, we do what we do, but it kind of just thrusts that idea of, hey, what we do here is awesome, but the church exists for the ones that aren't even here yet.
Yeah.
And it keeps it in the forefront of their mind. And I think the second thing it does, if you ever were in kindergarten, preschool, and there was show and tell days at school where you got super pumped and stoked because you got to bring in your toy or whatever it was and kind of show it off to your friends, in a way, it allows our church to have that moment, people to say, hey, I want you to see what I'm a part of every single week.
Yeah. And I think what's cool about that moment is it's not just, hey, look how awesome the event is. Look how much fun we're going to have. But it gives them a way to encounter Jesus. And so that's what's really neat about it, is, there's going to be awesome food, there's going to be awesome time of hanging out, and there's activities for everybody, but also you get to encounter Jesus. And that's a really neat thing for us to do for our community.
One thing we always talk about at Woodlawn is celebrating the wins. And, sometimes you just need some wins in your belt, like to help you continue on. And I do believe, historically, Friends Day is a win for us. And we know that, not to say, look who we are, but it's just the church, the church takes a beating, from time to time, it's from outside, and all this stuff and it's a win for our church to go, hey, God, you're cool. Like you got this. And one other thing I love, and I just noticed it yesterday. So if you don't know this, I am a true introvert. You might not know that, but I am. But I am an introvert that loves a party. But I love a party for you. I don't love a party for me. Like, I want to sit back in the corner and watch you have a good time. Like, that's who I am. All the tests that I've ever done, it shows me that I am an introvert that loves a party. And yesterday was a party that I could sit back and just watch and enjoy, and so many people making it happen. But I watched as church members rub shoulders with one another yesterday. They worked together, they served together, they ate together, they had fun. I mean, it was so many people from Woodlawn and from the community that were, Pastor, this was an awesome day. Like, thank you. Like, they take notice that the church gives back to them to create opportunities, for them to have relationship within the body. And Woodlawn's a larger church, and sometimes it's more difficult for them to form those relationships. But I think yesterday encompasses the vision that we want, and that is restoring community. And you got to talk to people that you wouldn't normally get to talk to.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's like a casual atmosphere where my husband brought several friends from work that maybe normally on a normal Sunday he wouldn't have had an opportunity to get to you, to let you meet them. But there were so many opportunities yesterday to make sure that, everybody got to meet the people that he brought. And it was just, they got to relax and sit back and let the kids run around and eat and, meet so many people of God. It was so cool.
Yeah. Yesterday, I was finally sat down at my pulled pork sandwich, and I think it took me like 30 minutes to eat that sandwich because I was, hey, Pastor, I want you to meet, my friend. I want you to meet my family, and that's a cool moment of the day. But, outside of rubbing shoulders with our church family, you mentioned it earlier, this is about, we are for others, and we're never complacent. Hey, this is my church. And I mean, we scream it on the front windows of our church, you belong here. And so we do our best to say, hey, if you do not have a home church, we want you to give Woodlawn an opportunity. I was talking to a lady yesterday that came through Faith Funnels. We're outside, and she said, hey, I appreciate you reaching out to me. Like, you were invited me personally to come. And so I talked to her about that, and I said, do you have a home church? And she said, I don't. I said, well, now you do. Like, you found it today. And so that was a neat moment. But what does it say to y'all just about how we are so involved in our community, reaching our community? What are ways that's important, and what are ways for us to maybe capitalize on Friends Day moving forward?
I think for kids, it's such an important day because I feel like it showcases Woodlawn kids and Woodlawn Church as a safe place. There's so many people out in the community who don't have a safe place to go to week after week. And I prayed the day before, Lord, let those that walk through the door feel safe when they come in. Let them feel loved. Let them feel like this is home for them. If they don't have a church home already, let them know that we're here. We want to be that for them. And there were so many parents that came in to check in their kids that had never been before. And I was just so burdened for those families, and I prayed as soon as they walked out the door, Lord, let them come back here knowing that this is home. Yeah. And so to me, it's just reiterating why we're here.
Yeah.
I came across a story on Twitter, X, whatever, last week, and I'll come full circle here. It was a story of a man who had planted a tree 35 years ago in the Philippines on the side of a cliff. He planted a tree, and there was a group of a touring bus of students, 35 students, I think is what it was. And their bus slid off of the cliff. And this tree, I've got a picture of it on my phone. This tree literally stopped their bus from going off the side of the cliff. No lives were lost. And moral of the story is you never have, really any grasp of what you're planting right now, what harvest it will yield in the future. And I think sometimes in the church we use the language like, man, we planted a lot of seed today. And sometimes it's almost in like a defeated mentality of like, okay, we didn't see the results we wanted today, so let's just say this so it makes us feel better and pats us on the back. But truthfully, when you're planting seed, it's the law of God's harvest.
Yeah.
Whatever you plant, you're gonna reap.
Yeah.
And I think yesterday, there's going to be some seeds out of yesterday, Kendra, that may grow up quickly, and we may see fruit of, almost instantaneous, and I pray for that. But I also think there may be some that a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 5 years, they're going to remember, hey, I know where I can find hope.
Yeah. And I would say to that point, like, we did see fruit yesterday.
Yeah.
We didn't just plant seeds, but, Susan, was baptized.
That's right.
Many brand new people in the altar. Many first-time guests in the altar yesterday, and taking steps of faith. And so, yes, we did plant seed. One man plants, one waters, God gives the increase.
Right.
But I do believe fruit happened as a result of Friends Day, and that's a win. You mentioned it, and we've talked about it, our vision, restoring community by building Christ-centered families, and we focused on the restoring community aspect. But Woodlawn is all about the family, equipping the family, restoring the family, trying to build the family up from kids all the way to seniors, as Brother Binion would say, from the cradle to the grave. I love that. I love that slogan. But we've had conversations recently. How do we better minister to the family? And those are conversations that we're having, right now, getting ready for 2026. We know we've got to put tools in the hands of families to win. Can we talk about that for just a moment? We're talking, young married families and families with small kids and single adults and those going through divorce and all of the above. We got to equip the families to make it in this age. So, what does that look like for you, or Pastor Cliff? What does that jar in your mind just about how Woodlawn is for the entire family?
Yeah, I would say the first overarching thing that I think about is the fact that our world is looking for truth. And there are families who are looking for a way to, whether it's raise kids or have a successful marriage in the right way. They want to be successful as a parent and as a spouse. And so with that, they're looking for truth. And we know that comes from the Word of God. And so I think for us, it's our job when someone comes to Woodlawn, they are looking for a way to connect with the Word of God, to find truth so that they can go and implement it in their lives.
That's right.
And so there's a whole lot of, I'll go ahead and give a little spoiler alert. We're looking at a way with some companies to implement some teaching and training for parents with the internet and social media and everything that goes on. I mean, we have these powerful devices called cell phones that we take all over with us. And so how can we still use that and be a successful Christian and operate in truth with that? And so we're working on some things that they can implement right away, but it all comes back to how can they find and use truth in their life.
Yeah. And so many times we're ministering to a parent or a grandparent or a young adult or a kid, but we're ministering to them separately where they're not on the same page. And I think it is our prayer, to synchronize that where, yes, we may teach it differently to a kid than we do an adult, but when the whole family is learning together, growing together, it's equipping them for victory. So
I agree. I think, we've been very intentional in our conversations over the last month, specifically on how can we minister to the whole family. How, there may be, elders, it may be young, cradle to the grave, whatever you want to identify it as. but how can we minister effectively, to all these people in different stages of life, but they're a part of one house? And how can we do that?
Guys, this has been fun. I like
a little
it.
different.
Now, I don't know if you can notice the gal on my right and gal on my left.
He copied me.
First home game.
That's right.
First game of the year.
Yep.
First game of the year.
Yeah, tonight on Monday. Do we need to have prayer before we leave?
4 wins. That's what we need. 4 wins.
And yes, prayer.
Thank you for joining us today. We want you to be a part of the Woodlawn family. We exist to restore community by building Christ-centered families, and we want you to win. May God bless you, and may this be your best day yet.